That should do. Welcome back, everyone. What is this? Number 4? I think it's live stream number 4. So today what I want to do is I want to show you what this DJZ CyberSociety is, how I built it, what was the point. We kind of covered it a little bit last week. There are a lot of models. Site disruption. Well, we won't be using the site mostly, so that's fine. So just to give you a brief rundown on how this worked. V0 is just a fast train. V00 is a full train using our Prodigy config, right? So with a single digit number, it's always a civitai fast train. So I've made that to evaluate it quickly. And then once that's passed, same data set, full train is the double digit, but they're the same data set. So we've got a 0 data set, a 1 data set, a 2 data set, 3 data set, 4 data set, and then there's some stuff missing. So V55 is about to go up. I think I decided, well, we'll get there. I'll show you. This is the whole point of the stream today. We're going to take a look at what I actually have done and why and how and all the rest of it. So this is the evolution of a data set. We start off here. And this would be mimicking the art in my art book, which is linked on the Civit. If you want to check it out, you can buy the collection. It's from 2022. There'll be a volume 2 coming soon. But essentially what we've got is this style, which is originally sort of based on a Mid-Journey version 2 or 3. And I've regenerated a whole bunch of images, made them again, trained the model again. So kind of like going back in time a little bit. And that was the fast train, and then this would be the full train. So obviously, it's recaptioned with my One Vision LLM recaptioner. And then we've used various different techniques to get various different aesthetics and styles as we've gone through the different versions. The full train always being a little bit more true to the data set. Done a bunch of prompt randomizers to increase the scope of what it can build, while retaining the essence of the style in the collection. Here's the full train version. Obviously, I was experimenting a lot with blending. This has got a lot of black sun, which is another Lora, another model. If I was to show, I could show. But there's a whole bunch of other models. V3. So here we are, continuously training. Basically evolving them through generations. Going to build a chart so people can see where this came from. All right. These came from the winning epoch. All of these images came from the winning epoch using a prompt generator for the model. And then we get to version 4. Now, let's just explain a little bit what we did. So for V0, we just used the OG data. What does that mean? I'll show you. This is the OG data. It might surprise you. Let's have a look. Hey, Scruffy, welcome. Thanks for joining. Hello, Cobalt. Welcome, welcome. Thanks for joining, everybody. Just getting started, basically. These are some of the images which I had in my book. They've all been upscaled to 2000 by 3000 roughly, and they went to print. It's a pretty cool book. It's kind of like a snapshot in time of what we could do way back in 2022, and I decided to use these as a base to evolve an updated version of the collection. So I wanted to try and keep some of the essence of what these images are. So the way the clothes fold, the way the wiring and the technology is represented, the way that it's drawn, it's sort of like a paint, but it's sort of... Anyway, lots of cool little hallmarks. All right. And so that's what we did. We took the image and we were playing a game of telephone. Now, I've showed this workflow before. I don't want to get ahead of myself now, boys. Okay, so a little bit of an update recently. comfyui has updated. You can still get all of the workflows in the UI. It's just they're in here now. So if we open these up, all of mine are in a folder at the bottom still. So it still works. It's just they've moved stuff. This is fine. Okay. So I think what I wanted to show you, if I just clear the workflow quick. And I wanted to show you, it's probably like V90 or something now. It's very developed. That's a stack tester. Recaptioner. One vision. Shift recaption. Yeah, volume 2. That's the... Oh, okay. So, get rid of this. So what we would do is we would take that version 0 dataset. Shout at me if there's any audio problems, guys. Let me know. Let me just get me off the screen for a minute so it's... All right? Okay. So what we would do is we would put the path for the dataset here. So that would be this folder. So we're going to be loading all of these images one after another in a batch. And that's just going to go through. So it's just going to batch load them, okay? I'd set the 0, and then I'd batch the number of images in the dataset, and then let it run. Obviously, I'd spend a whole bunch of time just on one image to make sure it looks good. But essentially, what we have is an image-to-image workflow, which is loading a whole bunch of different Loras. In this case, it was my Not the True World Enhancer, my CyberSociety V00, which is what we're looking at the moment. The Woman V00, so I could make the faces a little bit better. And then we've balanced that out. And then we're using this, so Black Sun V4 prompts with woman style. And what I do is I kind of dive around my prompt lists a bit to increase the scope of the next generation. So by using prompts from a different model, forcing it to do image-to-image transformations on the same image, so it keeps it in the same latent space almost, because a lot of the images are actually based in the same space. And then I would actually generally use like 0.4, so it actually has more of a bias towards the original image. Later in the data set, I would switch it up and make it more creative, so it has more of a bias to what's in the stack and what's being prompted. And then essentially it's apart from that influence, so that's me, that's my bit. So I can control the denoise, I can control the boost, I can add different Loras at different strengths, I can put in the tokens that I want, but that essentially goes in and plays second place to the much stronger game of telephone. So I'm asking the AI, what do you think this is? And it's saying, oh, I think it's this. And I ask it in two ways. One as a comma separated list, and then one as a, you know, for more precise language. Right? I know I'm kind of breezing over this, but that's because we've already spent like time on it. Last live stream, I went over this in detail. So like what we're doing is I'm just showing you what happened with this particular data set. So yeah, I hope you can see that I've got my influence up here so I can steer what it does. And then down the bottom, what I've got is the LLM doing vision with Lava Quentu. And it's basically going to say, oh, I think it's this. So then I take image to image with my influence and make it make what it thinks it sees. So I can kind of guide it a bit, but I'm guiding it in a very chaotic way because I don't really care what it thinks it sees. But then I give it a lot of weight to what it thinks it sees. And then essentially that creates images. Those images get upscaled to 2K. They then get done with a color correction LUT. And then finally, the finished image, whatever that is, whatever that looks like, it gets LLM'd again. So then we say, well, what is it now? And then it gives me a paired caption set for training. So I end up with an image and text file pair matching, and it works. So then I can just go ahead and zip it up and train it, right? So that's how the evolution works, okay? So we can take the original data set, ask what it is, do image to image while influencing it with various prompts and Loras that we may have, which we may create, which we may download, whatever. And then you can, sometimes what I would do is I would disable the upscaler for the sake of time, so I could get more images quicker and then curate the best ones. Then I'll batch them into a separate upscaler workflow, which is probably like around here somewhere. What's this? Yeah, is that it? No, that's a different thing. Okay, so there's the separate captioner. So that means, no. Upscaler? Upscaler when? It's in here somewhere. Well, anyway, basically I have obviously an upscaler batch, and I would do that separately. Upscale the best ones, then pick out the ones I want for recaptioning as a group. But we're going to show you what I did. But let's just get back to the data set. So obviously we have V0, right? Well, V1 came next. So V1. So as you can see here, I wanted to keep the style of the last sort of that messy mid-journey style, but then I wanted to combine it with my other pre-trained Loras for stuff like Black Sun, Cyber Ninja, things like that. And so then we started off with just 18 images because I wanted to see how it goes. I didn't want to take too long training these. And so CyberSociety version 1 was trained on these images that we're looking at right now. Okay. So these have been like remixed by me adding in a whole bunch of Loras. And I really wanted to keep this mess. I love the mess. Let's just have a look. When you zoom in on this is, I just love it. It's got a different sort of flavor to it. The mid-journey mess from version 2 and 3 had this weird flavor to it, which you don't see anymore. Anyway. Right. Yo, Creaty, welcome. We take a look at these. And as you can see, what I've done is I've really tried to get this. Look at this, especially in the clouds. The way it did the clouds and stuff was especially epic. I appreciate there's probably compression on the screen, on the stream, so you probably can't tell as well. But it's like this multicolored mess, which is patched together to make these shapes. Anyway, I thought it was really cool, a really cool creative art style. So what I wanted to do was give it a bunch of examples. Obviously, we've auto-captioned it with the LLM. Oh my God, that's a bit white. Okay, we're not going to read them like that. I was blinded by the light. Okay. It's all dark mode, and then you get this. Oh, sorry about that. All right. So, in fact, didn't I have a captioner open? Yeah, but none of them are actually running. Okay, that's fine. So, what were we doing? Looking at the next data set. So obviously I've done this evolution process. I mean, it's outlined actually right here. So the first V1 was a mutation stack. The V2 is actually a comparison with V3. So we're doing an experiment here. So version 2 had a 200 character caption limit. Version 3 had a 200 token caption limit. So obviously much, much longer. Probably 3 times longer. Okay? And I think this was to solve some kind of question about. So it's the same images for both, just to clarify, right? So let's just have a look. Here are some of the images that were used. So this is obviously constantly evolving as we go from generation to generation. We're taking the best images, recaptioning them. And then now what I'm doing is I'm testing to see which is better, longer captions or shorter captions. And obviously the result these models is going to be, the decider, right? So we're looking at the data sets right now, not the outputs. I don't want to confuse things. This is what the models were actually trained on, not what is generated. They generate necessarily. They do generate these images actually, but there's billions of permutations. The chances of getting this exact image are pretty slim. You could definitely do it though. They tend to be sort of like forming the scope of what it can make, really, when you use the correct words. All right, and then what we're trying to do really is we're trying to sort of nail an outline of what these actually are and then teach them and then, so that we can then generate more images, basically. Now, you might notice these have got a bit of more photographic sort of influence than the last set, and that's because we've mixed in woman. DJZ Woman is a Lora which is trained on 4K pictures of photographs of women in various poses, okay? And obviously by mixing that knowledge into the data set, you end up with a more photographic style. I mean, it almost does look like a photo in some places. But it's retained this crazy, over-detailed mechanical stuff, which is what the CyberSociety model is trying to capture. But you will notice, though, that I've kind of lost the mid-journey noise at this point. It's gone. And I noticed that's because the noise was easy to build upon. So it kind of filled in the gaps with the photographic stuff. So it ended up being like a bonus, having this noisy data set. So let's just... So if you remember, I started out with a bunch of old mid-journey stuff. I said, what do you think it is? And with a little bit of a hint of what I think it is. And then obviously steering the Lora and whatnot. That then evolved into V1, which gives us stuff like this, heavy on the mid-journey noise, right? Or the data set that's being trained is heavy on the mid-journey noise. And then when I did the next set, the outputs were quite photographic. So you end up with these sorts of things. So it's still got that crazy sort of Mad Max techno stuff, like technology, but all kind of slapped together. All these different images. And this is a much bigger data set. I think it's like 100 images for this one. And this one really it's quite defined. It's quite sharp as well. Let's move on to V3. There's only 6 of them, really. 6 data sets, okay, in this sort of origin of species. So we started looking at these a little bit. Oh, wait, hang on. Like I said, it's the same data set, right? All we're doing really here, this test, 3 and 4, was actually about testing whether short captions or long captions, when you train, is better or worse. So I hope that Civit doesn't... I hope Civit lets us do it. So let's see if we compare V3. These are short captions, fast train. I think. Let me check the numbers. Yeah, 3 and 4. Double check my notes. It's 2 and 3. It's 2 and 3. So this data set and this data set are both the same. 2 and 3 are the same. It's different. So let's take a look at the 2 and 3. There you go. Right. So we can look at the fast train models. This is short captions, ending up with images like this. Then if we look at the long caption version, oh, Civit, come on! I hope you can see there that that's a much more detailed image. Can we make it bigger? I think the Civit's site's having a bit of trouble. Okay, so as you can see, much longer caption. Look at the. So this would be the typical length that was actually trained. Okay, because what I do with all of these we're prompting the captions. Okay, that's what we're doing. So the prompt list is the caption list. So as you can see, longer caption did make more detail. So is longer caption more better? I mean, I don't know. That looks a bit smoother actually, and it is much shorter. And I don't know if it's because it just ignores some of it. A lot of people were like, oh, it just ignores anything over this long. And I can see a difference, but I do think actually the short caption comes out a bit better. It's like sharper, I guess. Let me just show another one. There's another one. Another one. Let's go back to the long caption version again and just have another look. Long caption version. I only have one image. See, it's a bit frazzly. It's got more detail, but it's a bit frazzly. I don't know how to say it. You know, it's not as sharp. It's got a bit... I don't know. I think it learned some noise. I think it's probably what happened. It's like learned to give it a bit of a texture. And that might be a good thing. It's kind of like photographic noise has been blended in with this. Like it's learned more detail, if you see what I mean. So this is one of the reasons why we brought out both versions. Right, so then we'll look at the full trained version, right? And this would be the short version. So let's just go full screen, come on. So this would be short caption trained, but full config. So it captures a bit more of the aesthetic. And the short captions, like I said, it's nice. It's kind of subjective which you prefer. So this would be full trained with longer captions. And You know, there's more detail, but sometimes I think there's more opportunity for it to like learn wrong as well. Like, there's a lot of weird antennas and stuff that aren't in the data set. So it's kind of gone a bit crazy with them, you know? I don't know. All of these images were from the winning round. So the way that I would evaluate this is with a workflow. Is it here? Is it here? Is it here? I bet it's not in any of them. Yeah, here it is. Okay, so this would be typically how I evaluate. So I'll load in the last 7 epochs, and then we'll run the exact same prompt from the prompt list, which is the caption list. And then we will run them all, and then I have them combining. These workflows are all in the collection, guys. If you want to grab them and clone them into your user folder, it's right here. All the workflows are right there. And all of the prompt lists that I've been looking at, they're all in the prompt section on DJZ nodes. So if you have DJZ nodes, they'll all be in the prompts folder. And to be honest, if you use my workflows, I usually have those nodes in there. So you probably installed them. I don't know. So that's that. There's instructions on how to git pull and keep this all up to date. All right. So let's go back. So where do we go from there? So what I did, I did an 8-way decisive battle. So I've got another workflow which compares the Loras. So in fact, we've looked at that big one now. Where is he? There he is. So we've looked at this one now. So I think you understand it combines the images into grids which are labeled and then gives me a bunch of these. I leave it running overnight. I queue up a bunch of them, you know, because you can have multiple tabs set up with different, you know, Loras inside. So I check all my latest training models. I put them all like this, chuck some things through. Sometimes I'll, you know, add a Lora here or mix up with the prompt list just to sort of, you know, push it a little bit outside of its comfort zone. But essentially what we're doing is we're just seeing how malleable it is. And like, for example, I've showed you guys this before, but just to go over it again, the way that you figure this out is actually you're looking for when it stops learning, basically, or when it sort of seems to collapse in on itself. And the funny thing is, it's kind of a hard choice, this one. Clearly 8 and 9 are the same. So I would say these are actually probably both overtrained, because there's no change. If you look here, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's changing each time. It's changing lots of different ways. It's like spot the difference. There's loads of changes. 6, 7 kind of goes back to the original pose, which makes me wonder if it's actually starting to collapse here, because it's going backwards. If you see what I mean, we've gone pose, 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 and then we're kind of going backwards in terms of poses now. It's not always like, the way I figure it out is by generating about 30 or 40 of these, and then you look at them all at once and you go, oh yeah, it's that one. You know, and also you have to sometimes do a little bit of triage, because some images will look better on certain epochs. They just will. And like I said, I would actually go with probably epoch 7 here, or 8. I mean, 6 has clearly got the most stuff going on, but I don't think it's this one. I think it's actually epoch 7. But as you see, let me show. Have I got more of these? Ah. What's this one? Lora testing. This one, I already had the page open. Let's just go and find it again. So it will be, one vision would be the mutation. Lora testing would be, stack tester would be what I was talking about with comparing the different versions against each other. So there's CyberSociety 0. I'd go to the final ones, and then we have these. Ah, these are comparing each model against each other. So that's going to come in later. Output. This folder's empty. Whoops. Wrong one. Let's see. sorts of things that you can compare. That one, upscales, V4. It's been a busy week. Let's just jump into V5. Remix, make stuff like that. Not what I'm looking for, though. Testing, 22. Fused. Here we go. Right, so if I was looking at a model and I was thinking to myself, like, which is the, where does it stop, right? That's quite hard. They're not very similar. You can see that the last two are very similar, though, which would make me think probably E9 or E8. And then I just evaluate each one on its own. So, for example, you can see here, E4, they're looking away. Here, it's learned that we're looking this way. So we're looking this way, we're looking this way. There's a woman on a hill here. There's a person on the hill there. Here, it's like a fireball. I would have gone with E8 or E9. I think I did end up going with E9 overall for this one. This one's tough because it's a robot and they don't always have like fully formed bodies. This one again is kind of tough because you'd think, oh, well, that looks more like a plane, for example, but you've got to ignore the background for the most part because that's just part of the prompt. It's all about the subject. And so I think I went with E9 on this one because it was the best one overall, but I actually thought the more natural pose was E8. Welcome, Adine, welcome. Says Koya SS plus Lora training plus your video combo of those three elements will lead me to buy a new graphics card soon. Tell me about it. Do you know what? I have to get another one anyway because, to be honest, my computer is out of action half the time because I'm just running all of these comparisons 24/7 at the moment. I'm definitely in training mode, as they say. But yeah, welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming along. So yeah, as I say, I run this big comparison here, and I hope you can see, I'm just going to click through them a little bit, that you just have to take a choice. Where is the best epoch overall? And that's the one that goes out. And it can get tough. It can get pretty tough. So I think, like I said, I think we went with E9 on this one. Let's go to a different one and just see. So, in fact, recently, this is a pretty cool one. This one is actually V55. And just to give a sort of catch-up, V55 was a full train with a cold V4 dataset. So, we should look at the dataset for that. So, in V4, what we did was we decided to group everything up with subfolders. Now, they're ignored when you actually train the Lora, but it means that when you do the automation step of doing all of this business with auto captioning, a lot of the time what I'm doing is I'm injecting, let me see if I can find it, here we go, I'm using this one in some process, and so we're putting the trigger in, right? So what I thought was, if I use subfolders, what I could do is I can be sneaky, and I can do classifiers by just saying samurai for the subset of samurai or kunoichi for the subset of kunoichi, and then we're trying to put the classes from the original book back into the Lora, so essentially multi-training a lot of characters at the same time. I also did put in the Cyber Samurai V0 dataset, which is the original Mid-Journey mess, as a sort of as a bad, what do we used to call it? Regularization set. Okay, because it's quite noisy, and I thought it might end up giving us good creativity, but because it all uses the same structure, it would have similarity in the latent space from where we're starting, because all of these start off, remember, they were generated with image to image, and I'm using the same batch every time. So a lot of the images are the same at the starting point. And so here we are, and it's like I said, it's really learned the colors and the way everything is, but it's just much, much, much more detailed now. So it's effectively taken my old work and just given it the HD treatment with Flux. This is all done with Flux Schnell, by the way. Pretty cool. And then, like I said, having clock in the prompt is really strong. It really loves doing clock faces. But you can see we've kept this cool smoke clouds and the mottling on the thing. I used to have like a profile picture that used this sort of helmet. Still on a lot of places. And the thing is that it's the same art style, which I'm really happy with because, like I said, you can't. It was like a Mid-Journey version 2 and 3 thing where it did this funny modeling pattern on everything. And I loved it. So what I was trying to do was, and again, we are doing some mutations here. So there's some different art styles thrown in to increase the scope of the Lora. So some of it's photorealistic, some of it is illustration, some of it's a bit anime, you know. And then we've upscaled everything to 2K and recaptioned it and then trained it again. And that's essentially the process. We just keep retraining it and throw out the bits that we don't want, keep the stuff we do want, refine the captions, keep curating, and just keep on evolving the model. Okay. And so that is the version 4 dataset. And then I decided I was going to have a bit of fun with it, right? So what we did, this is the bit of fun, okay? I'm going to explain what we've done for the version 55. It's actually pretty cool. I didn't actually have version... Just trying to don't get confused now. We were here. Sorry, I've skipped ahead. So, to build version 4, right? Yeah. If I look, that's version 4. And version 6 just came out. So, yeah, that's where we're at. We've looked at all of these, which was examining the lengths of captions, which one is best. I think it's purely an aesthetic choice. I think that shorter caption training leads to a more elastic model, as in it can do more, but longer captions will train more details. It's just that sometimes it gets a bit obsessed with these details, and that can maybe be a problem. I don't know. It depends what you're trying to do. With version 4, what we did, and the output is stunning. I love the output of version 4. Super cool. If we just look at the prompt, if you remember, I just told you that I was using subclassifiers for training this model. And there's your evidence. Right? Hang on a sec. Let me just answer the chat. Do you tend to use multi-resolution images to allow the Lora to be able to adapt on various res, or would you suggest... Okay. Do you know, it's really interesting, right? I've trained all of these at 4 to 5. Right. Let's answer the question. All of the images at 4 to 5. Everything. Let me just clarify what I mean by that. So I've done everything on 4 to 5. Always, always, always. But this particular model was actually trained on this image size, and I'm going to explain that in a minute. But it's a brilliant question. So the reason I created this tool was to solve that problem. The models can do any aspect ratio. The problem is it doesn't divide by 64 and you get a bad picture. Okay? And so what I did was I made this tool and this tool to make sure that you always have safe aspect ratio. So if you're generating text to image, it'll use this one. And if you're using image to image, I'm going to feed it into this and then adjust them so that they're always, always, always divided by 64. And it usually fixes all the problems with aspect ratios. Then you can just, whatever it is, it's going to make it the closest 64 divisible aspect ratio, just from whatever. It'll just figure it out for you. That's why I made these. But basically, I train at 1:1, widescreen, and tall, usually. And sometimes in multi-size, as you say. But the funky thing about this is that I've deliberately kept everything identical. In exception of this next thing we're going to start talking about, everything before this point was trained at 4 to 5. So everything was done at tall aspect ratio like this. Like this. All the images look like that. They're all like that, okay? But based on a 1024 by 1024 max. So it's done the math for me. I couldn't tell you exactly what that is. I think it's like 1016 by something funny. But the point is, it's a safe divisible number. And your model should be able to do anything. So like I said, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip these around and make the image again. Hopefully it doesn't kill the stream. Come on, YouTube. Don't do this to me. So all we're doing is we're running the Epoch 1. This is Epoch 1, by the way, v66. It's not the full train. Full train is still running. I just downloaded Epoch 1 Fun to see what it would do. Okay, so it's actually pretty, it's going pretty hard already, actually. I'm not going to lie. It looks pretty good already. Oh, my God. And like I said, this is representative of what I would expect from an undertrained version of my model. And like I said, it's done the wider aspect. Like if I said I wanted 16:9 now, it's just going to be a good boy and do what I want. But certainly training with multi-res is another thing you can do to improve the outputs of your data set. So this, I do everything under control. So I'm only going to change one thing. So once I get to the end, I might consider expanding the data set by duplicating it into multi-size and then retraining it. But obviously, everything I'm doing here is going to be limited to 10,000 steps so that you can replicate it on Civic with whatever images you choose to use. I'm very focused on trying to get your work into your Loras so that you can experiment with your own art more than just copying stuff. Because it's kind of easy to copy stuff, and there's nothing wrong with copying. It's how you learn. But right, here it is. Let's do the 16:9, shall we? Did I finish what I was doing there? Okay. And then I'm going to show you something fun. So what are we doing for the prompt here? I didn't even explain it. So we're doing a V6, but we're also injecting no weight V0. So this is going to be heavier because it's going to be bracketed 0.1. I do believe I've got the prompt written here. So here's the prompt. Image depicts a character in a futuristic... Hang on. There you go. Image depicts a character in a futuristic steampunk-inspired armor standing against a dramatic backdrop. The character is wearing a helmet with a visor and a headpiece adorned with gears and mechanical elements. Hang on. Leans in. Don't see any gears. Anyway, they are clad in a long coat with intricate designs. Okay, and carry a large sword with a colourful blade. Yep. Background features a cityscape with tall buildings and a castle-like structure. Cool, got it, check. All set against a sky with clouds that have orange and red hues, suggesting either dawn or dusk. The overall atmosphere is one of fantasy and adventure. A strong emphasis on the mechanical, industrial aspects of the setting. Cyborg, armor, helmet, sword, futuristic, clouds, castle. And then it's blended that with CyberSociety style samurai, a futuristic man in a futuristic suit adorned with a helmet and a variety of weapons stands in a vibrant, multicolored sky background. Basically the exact same prompt. That's amazing. So we're like doubling up, essentially. It's quite funny. Oh, look, radio antenna. Okay, I think you get the idea. But yeah, it's perfectly able to do different aspect ratios, but that's I've always thought of that as more of an inference challenge because I've only trained this particular model on one aspect ratio only. If you take a look at the data, so let's see what we were just using V5, I think. We were using V6 just now. So this is the data set for V6, and what I can do is I can show you right now. We go into details and then show dimensions. Oh, I can't believe it. I've got to put it in myself. Come on, Windows. I've got to do it for every single folder on my computer individually. That's a good feature. Okay, so there we go. Look, 2432 by 1792 is what I actually... That's my actual data set. It's 2432 by 1792. Oh, where'd they go? There we go. So you can see they're all the same size, right? Oh. Oh. Sorry, guys. I was so impressed with some of this stuff. I was like, you just took a piece of my soul and put it into a PNG format. I've been working on stuff that looks like this for so long, and just to have it like... The data set is just so cool. On its own, the data set. And I could generate many of these, you know. as you know, all we have to do is chuck them back into Comfy and we could make more like this forever. And I'm going to show you the workflow that made these images next. So it's a bit of a trick. What we've done is we've loaded in a whole stack. And I've been pushing this method for years now. We call it the Lora stack, and that's what they are called, which is great. So stacking 6 Loras here. Okay. People say, oh, it can be done. You just need to balance them out. So some of them are stronger than others. It's a bit like mixing flavors. Let's have a look. Just reading the chat real quick. Epoch 1 is kind of cool already. You could just upscale ResFix and generate a data set with this. Yeah, 100% correct. 100% correct. And that is part of the process. Pick the epoch you like. It doesn't have to be the last epoch. You know what I mean? It could just be, like I said, it's the one you like. You pick the one you like. It's a bit like how looking at the result of comparing all of the models up to V3. So 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 0, 1, 2, 3. So we have the fasts at the bottom and the full trains at the top. And it's up to you what you like. You know what I mean? I like the V00. It's really captured a lot of the hallmarks of the original data set, which is what I was trying to train, right? But there's nothing wrong. Like, I do like V11 as well. So it's like, and to be fair, V1 is very close. So considering that's a fast train, that is like somewhere in between the two. If you have a look, got the logo, got the guy in the suit with the gun, got the smoke. If you're doing a checklist of similarity for a fast train, that's crazy. Crazy. And you'll see it reflected across the set as well. In a way, the 00 is kind of overtrained. He's turning into a plane here. And this actually looks better. The V1 looks better. So this is one of the reasons I was comparing the fast train versions to the full train versions. This is prompt for prompt, seed for seed, version for version, right? It's as scientific a comparison as I can make it. Okay. Because it's deterministic. Like I said, the V00 really has that samurai vibe going for it, right? And the fast trains don't necessarily get that, but they still look good. They still contain a lot of what I'm looking for. And so sometimes I'd be taking images from either or, right? To pass down to the next generation. And that's the kind of the beauty of it. You get to do that. And as you can see here, look at the craziness going on here. So here what we're doing is we're actually looking at the difference between mixing the prompts. Because obviously we can mix the prompts, right? We can do all kinds of prompt mixing. We can bring them in at different steps and all kinds of stuff. Have it start off with Black Sun and end up with CyberSociety. It's this sort of stuff you can do. Okay, so, and I've annotated what I'm doing as well, just sort of with the shorthand. So that would be a P0. So that would be the actual CyberSociety version 0 with Black Sun version 0. If I go here, this is version 0 caption with Black Sun version 4 caption. And that's going to give you a slightly different aesthetic. Still got the hallmarks of both styles. And again, we're seeing the same sort of thing. A lot of the time what I was doing was removing anime bias, because you can put anime bias back in later. You can just add a cool anime model that you like if that's what you want to generate. So I'm trying to kind of get the difference of what this style actually is nailed down with all of these consecutive versions. And then this one was ultimately just to see, well, which one is closest. In the end, V00 was the closest, which is ironic as hell, because that was the one that was actually, using the mid-journey images. So coming back to this one, what do we do? We've got this stack. So there's my not the true world version 55, which is an enhancer. You don't prompt this one. You just leave it on. CyberSociety version 4, which was one of the latest versions at that time. And then a weak strength of the version 00, which is obviously the one that we just looked at, the mid-journey version 3 based images. Old Gods version 00, just to give it a bit of spice, because Old Gods does kinds of stuff, does all this weird stuff, eldritch stuff, which like throwing skulls everywhere, gives it something to generate over the top of. Usually it'll make a robot or a spaceship or some kind of something else because of the merge that we're doing. Black sun gives it that dark sci-fi effect. It's actually switched off though. Same with woman. I've actually switched that off though. Those were the settings that I was using. But for this particular, where we're actually at, I didn't. I turned them off. I tend to just leave stuff. So I might want to turn it back on again. But if you look at the prompt, I'm using, ironically, Thora Machine Cities. If anyone remembers what Thora was, it's okay, we don't need to go over it. So Thora was an anime model which I made, and all it is mostly backgrounds. So it's like backgrounds, anime, city, industrial style backgrounds. But that did mean it included an anime tag, which is what made it keep trying to make anime, which was a bit of a hindrance, to be honest. But what I'm probably going to do is make like a little swap node that just swaps one word for another word. It's probably another one already, but I haven't looked. So it's not too much of a drama to make little things like that. Okay. So what did we actually do? It's on image to image, and it's using this, which is some fine art from ancient history, if you'd believe that. So what we've done is we've used 0.75, right? So that means it's going to chuck a hell of a lot of noise on it. Considering the fact that we're using Shift 1.5 right now, with the guidance of 3.5, you put all of this stuff together and all of this stuff together, and then you just give it a hell of a lot of noise with quite a high shift as well. You put all that together, and that's how you end up getting these. So you can kind of see where it has influence from everything we've looked at. We've got this weird mid-journey mess. We've got the weird texturing from the original way the clothing was done is all there. Okay. Just move this. This is in the way. Can't see the tank. That's a really important part of the image right there. So we just have a look through this data set. So this is like a mission success for me, because I don't plan on necessarily using these images. That's not the finished thing. This is like a tool set now. Like, I got custom colors I can play with now, and they're going to give me the colors and the textures and the aesthetics that I want, that I've trained in from my previous work. And then it's like gone through this crazy curation process of like 5 generations of evolving it to the point where this is exactly what I had. This is exactly what I wanted. Only the difference is that I can use it for image to image. I can use it with ControlNet. I can use it in animation. I can use it in video generation. There's all kinds of stuff I can use this with, which obviously is a whole different kettle of fish without these sorts of systems. This is what I was saying about the AI, the anime. So the face will look 2D and flat because it's got an anime bias in the prompt. If you actually look, there'll be an anime token. Same with the bat. There's a few Batmen where it said Batman, because obviously I was playing telephone with the LLM, and the LLM said, "Oh, that's Batman." And so then it was like, I'm going to draw Batman. And so you do. So this is the thing. This process of evolution, when you get to the end of it, you've got to actually read through the captions. You've got to make sure there's not some like rogue Batman in your caption set, or rogue anime tags, because when you take away the anime sort of influence from this, it actually looks crazy, and it's starting to illustrate the world that I've been trying to write stories about. So this is the whole point to me, is to try and build tools so you can build more things, and we're getting there. Okay, so what this one did was it took image to image with high denoise and then a LoRa stack. So a little bit different from the first one I showed you, but essentially the same idea. But what we're going to do is we basically get it to a point where it looks nice, and then we let it run. Yeah. Get it to a point where it looks nice, and then you just let it run. Don't change anything. Hands off, let it cook. And then ultimately it's you curating it, because this is 100% acceptable for what I want. And it's easy for you to imagine how you could use upscaler enhancer to take it just a little bit further if you wanted to. So going back to the datasets, so this would be the version 6 dataset. So version 6 that's cooking right now, that is what's trained. So if we just take a quick look at the version 6 dataset here, because it's probably one of the better ones. So it's got all the hallmarks of the crazy CyberSociety, which I've been trying to train in. It's of a high standard, which is what I was looking for. I've pretty much curated so much out of it. Look at that crazy robot. So crazy. It's exactly what I was looking for, like I said. And I think that because I've got enough of them, there's 200 images here. That's more than enough to define a universe. And like I said, it's all sort of like a big genealogy, because those backgrounds there, they're from Thora Machine Cities. I trained them in a previously released Lora. Because I wanted to sort of walk the walk a little bit so you could see where this actually goes. Because it's like, there's, you know, it's easy to just make workflow packs and make workflow. I could just spam workflows out forever. But the reality is I want to show you that you can take your dream and you can make it a reality with these tools. And before you know it, you've finished it. It's finished and it's out. And that's part of the whole challenge, is making the idea into something real. And obviously these images could be your images. It's easy to go through this process and just keep curating to get that look you're looking for. Because like I said, that's just stunning. I mean, it's not, I would like it to be a little bit less anime. But like I said, it's continuous training. So what I'd do is I'd go through the captions, make sure there's no rogue anime tokens in there, because I am trying to go for like a more of an illustration style. Like even that is way more acceptable to me. This looks nuts. Crazy face mask with this giant helmet style as part of the style. Floating cities, crazy clouds, crazy robots. It's all kind of in the lore, so it makes sense for it to be like this in what I'm illustrating. Anyway, looks good. Every time I see that, I just crack up. That's such a great face. Okay. So, how did it look in the end? Yeah, we made this image, didn't we? And obviously this hasn't even been upscaled yet, and it looks great. And this is an Epoch 1. And that's the other thing. Don't throw out your early epochs. You might find that you want to go back and use an earlier epoch. I find that early epochs are more elastic when you come to use image to image or control net. Sometimes you might be vastly overtraining things. It's always a great idea. I keep all my intermediates on archive until I've actually tested everything, like really tested everything. Because often when I release the model, I have to test it with text to image, right? It's the only way to be consistent. When you come to use it with control net, stuff like that, you might find, oh, actually, maybe I want it to be a bit weaker. Right. So let's see. This one would be V55. No, V6. So this is the fast-trained version. Okay. As you can see, the fast-trained version has more of a bias to the base model. So it's less stylized than the full train. It still looks good, but it's doing stuff that wasn't necessarily, you know, like I said, it's a good model and it does represent the aesthetic and the style. And sometimes it's like, wow, that's actually really close, because you wouldn't believe it. They're like 5 minutes to train the fast. The fast models take like 5 minutes. So it's like, do you want to wait until tomorrow when it's just a cheeky little test? And like I said, what I like to do is do the comparison, and then you guys can decide whether it's worth your time or not. You know, show the results off. And they come in the form of the big grids, which is why I have all of those set up. So when I came to evaluate V55, which is the full train, I realized that the full train version is kind of like, it's got an amazing scope to it. It can do all kinds of different art styles. It still retained the style of the original. Okay, you've still got the crazy details that were still there. It's all still cooking, right? But it's almost too general for what I wanted to use it for. And so that's when I decided that even though the 8-way decisive battle which resulted in the models that trained these, so the images that trained these models, and the images are really good. Like, this is how I was deciding which epoch to go with, by the way. Okay. If we go back and take a look at the actual stack tester, we can take a look at the last version here. Oh, it's a bit boring. Thought I'd get a bit more juice. Still pathetically small amount of images. Oh, wow. Damn, that looked way better than when I zoomed in on it. Anyway, like I said, you upscale these things and they look great. Let me just get rid of that. Okay, so the last thing that we did with the datasets, and let's just have a look at the notes again. So here we are looking at female kunoichi. So if you remember, I explained that with that dataset, what we did was we split it into different sections. So there was samurai, which would be, hang on, that's the regularization, guys. So samurai, okay, now we're cooking. Let's open them up. Okay. And just to make sure that we know what we're talking about, so to build the next generation, I did the 8-way battle, which is where we compared all the previous versions against each other to determine the best stack. And then we created a whole bunch. So the best 500 images were curated down to 300 and recaptioned. Resulting dataset is version 4. So if I have a look, I'm in version 4 right now. So what I did was I grouped version 4 into what they were. So the first one would have been samurai, right? So all the images that were samurai were tagged and grouped as samurai. Okay? So I'm defining what my CyberSun samurai is. CyberSun. What my CyberSociety samurai. Okay. Now, obviously, if it's a female samurai, I might call that a kunoichi. There we go. Technically a ninja, I guess, but it's fine. Female ninja warrior type thing. With the original Midjourney style, see, we've still got it, right? This is the Midjourney style, which I showed you guys, which is kind of like a mess, but it's pieced it into something that makes sense. And now we still have the style, but we have the quality as well. So, like I said, it's like a big upgrade. And you have this particular style. It's hard. So this could be your style. I wanted to point that out. I mean, if I can teach it this, then you can teach it how you draw quite easily. And that's the whole point, really. Okay. So V44 got shelved because it was more than 10,000 steps. So what I did was I culled it. I removed the regularization. So Cyber Samurai V0 and Knight, they got removed. And then we go to version 5, which only contains engineer, kunoichi, robot, and samurai. So there's only 4 subclassifiers. Okay. And then I haven't even uploaded them yet because I'm like, you know, really organized and slow to spare time. So there's my V55. So V5 never got trained actually, so it doesn't exist. I just made the full train for V55. And then I think I used V4 because this one was actually still training. So I didn't have V55 yet, so I used V4. And that's how we created the V6 dataset. So again, in combinations with many problems, injecting combinations 3 to 5, as I've explained to you with the stack, generated like 2,500 images. I curated that down to the best 250. They were all good, but I was looking for specific aesthetics so I could teach the final style. And essentially, I pulled the anime face images out as well. It doesn't really help, doesn't really fully prevent the bias, but you know, I did what I could. And then V66, then we end up with the V6 fast train, and we end up with the V66, which is currently training. And we've already looked at, you know, an image from from Epoch 1 right here. There he is. We can make another one of them. We're chatting. So, and is this text to image right now? Yeah, it is. It's on text to image. So again, if I was to just, you know, snap it into image to image mode, and we're not using fixed seed or anything, okay? There he is at Epoch 1. He's looking pretty good. So what happens when we slap it into 0.75 overcharged image to image mode? Hold the screen still. Oh my goodness, what is going on? It's crazy. It's crazy. It's like a window to another world. Let's have another one. Okay. So obviously from this point, I didn't keep the subgroups. Okay, when we come to V6, they're more or less just all in a folder. So I'll take a look at some of those dataset images now. As you can see, this is like the culmination of all 6 generations. So we've got the style of Midjourney for the clothes, the clouds and the clothing, and to a certain degree, a lot of the line work. But then we've got the flux face, the flux sort of composition, and the pose. So it's kept this wonderful synth art mess, which is what I love so much about the early Midjourney stuff. It's a beautiful mess. And then it's tried to make sense of the artwork as best as it can. Okay. And like I said, I love the mistakes. I think the mistakes is where it really gets good. If I get some extra fingers these days, I'm actually like excited because they completely got rid of all that stuff. But it's still cool. I'm not complaining. But I hope you can see that we've essentially upgraded. Look, I've used Black Sun, so it's learned to say... Yeah, there was Black Sun in the stack there, clearly. So this is like a lot of my... And then XGX. XGX is the tag for Black Sun style. And for a bunch of other stuff. Like the Machine Cities corridor. So, like I said, this is like a wonderful blend of all the different styles. They're all coming together. This one's really cool. Can we actually make it bigger? Oh, man. And like I said, they've all been trained. And like I said, don't think that these are actually training at 2,000. They're not. They get downscaled to a maximum. They'll keep the ratio or crop to 2048 by 2048 with most trainers. But I think an additional step would be, once I'm really happy with the data set, I could actually go ahead and do multi-size. It's just that it increases the size of the data set. And so what I try to do is really test hard with the small size so that I've got it all under control. And then essentially, like, you can improve it by doing stuff like that. Having multiple sized images which are the same, you know, in the data set. I see that as kind of like a duplication expansion exercise rather than actually creating new images or new captions. I still think that I could do a lot to fix these by removing unnecessary captions. Okay, because there are some unnecessary captions which kind of mess up some of the training. But that's just like, you know, going through it iteratively and just, you know, just changing it yourself. But these have really captured this crazy science fiction style. But like I said, with the old school synth art sort of flavor. So it just looks like insanely high resolution stuff from 2 years back. There's no way you could have made it like this back then. Not with this level of depth or level of detail, I mean. All right. And like I said, what we've done is we've trained the next model on this. And so it's a question, did it actually learn it or not? And the jury's out on that because I haven't actually completely finished. But like I said, the the initial images coming out of it look great. Prompting the model looks pretty good. What's going on here? Ah, it's image to image again, isn't it? So it's changed the aspect to match the donor image. Like I say, you can see it's already learned a lot about the style just at Epoch 1. If I go back to the fast model, the fast model is fully trained and it's already producing stuff like this. It's just not as detailed, but there's the same pose. The sword is, it's an interesting sword cod piece he has there. It's an interesting design. So you can see it's nowhere near as sharp on the fast train, but like I said, for stuff like animate, this looks fine. You know, it's just it kind of goes a bit nuts. Look, we've got some lotuses in there for some reason. Here's the same guy. Look, it's the same robot. He's got the glass on his face there. Just looking at that a minute ago, I'm pretty sure. Literally like a few images back, we saw the same dude. There he is. Well, it's the same concept. It's not the exact same guy. It's the same concept, but obviously it's been learned with a hell of a lot more style cues. Obviously it's a completely different prompt, but it's just, that's how I imagine it. It's like the shapes, right? The shapes are obviously similar because we've been doing like a lot of image to image in the process of making the images, right? So anyway, if we continue, like I said, this data set is solid. It's 200 images. They've all been captioned in the same way. There's going to be some errors in the data set though. I mean, oh my God, that looks so good. Look at that building. So good. Because the thing is, I'm illustrating this like world in the clouds right now. So that's why a lot of my work has got like no ground. There's no ground. Why is there no ground? Why are you training a bunch of floating buildings? That's why. Why? It's just all crazy. Anyway, these look great. So where does it go from here, right? Oh yeah, that's a good point. So as you can see, the style is now so strong that even Batman gets overpowered by this female CyberSociety ninja thing. You can still see there's the bat ears, the mask, chest emblem, and the bat belt. But to be honest, it's not Batman anymore. It's definitely my style, right? So I'm very happy with the result. Obviously, the ways that you can improve this is, as I said, you can go through the captions. So obviously the captions for this data set pretty solid, but I'm pretty sure I could make them better. So like it might not have trained this image well because it may be that the caption for this image is not the best. And so obviously when you're finished with your image curation, you've got to do your text caption curation too. Obviously you would have been doing it along the way, but it doesn't hurt. And one way I do that, which doesn't take very long, right, is I just duplicate my tab and then I grab the folder path. So let's just copy the folder path. And then when this opens up, I'll use one of my tools, which is in the example folder. And it's pretty simple, right? Caption to prompt list. There it is. So I'll put the path for the folder in there like that. And I've probably already done this. So it might throw an error about, you've already done this. I'll say new only because I don't want to do it. I don't want to mess this up. But basically what we're going to do is chuck the caption list into a text file, right? Let's see if it throws an error. Just running my script, and then it's like, oh no, it already exists. It's really not wanting to overwrite mine, but you won't have yours, so it's not going to throw an error about it existing already. But what you end up with is you end up with one of these files, which is just basically the entire caption set in a big white block. And what I do is I just go, and I look for the white gap. Why is there a white gap? It's okay. It's a new line. Okay. And essentially, if there's like repeating words, or if there's lots of new lines where they shouldn't be, they stick out like a sore thumb when you scroll. You'll scroll and they'll stick out. You'll be like, there's a gap there. or it said the same word 100 times. It's obvious. So you double open it up, edit that out, done. So that's the easy stuff. The hard stuff is searching for keywords that shouldn't be there. Like if you're not working on anime shouldn't be in here. And obviously the only reason this is happening is because we played that game of telephone with all these LLMs during the evolution process, right? We said, what do you think it is? And then we told it to make it. And then we said, what do you think it is again? And that's how we ended up with these prompt lists. Right, let's get that white square off the screen. Okay. Right, so let's just see where we're at. What's this? Who knows? It's another data set. Pretty cool. A lot of these images have been put out there. Yeah, we've got a bunch of old stuff that we didn't really, because there's just so much of it, you know. We'd be here all night just looking at this. Okay, which is fine. As long as the stream is still running, we're good. Ah, Adine's got to go. Well, thanks for having you. Okay. So yeah, as I said, we trained all of these. And then we've ended up with our V6 and V66 models. They are pretty good. So how about we make another one? Okay, so what did I want to tell you? So this one is the last model. This has got a whole bunch of cool stuff. Yeah, loads of generations. I left that cooking this afternoon just to see what it could do. Fast is always fun, but it's never as detailed as the, you know, the full Monty. Right? When I compared all of these, I think I came to the conclusion that E7 was the best. So that V55 is going to get published. And then this is the recaptioner. So this would be the entire data set used to train V6. Got some really good images in there. Oh, it's gone. I moved it. That. This would be the upscaler, I do believe. Yep, this is the batch upscaler. So rather than trying to do everything at once, I do the evolution stuff in one workflow, or the mutation stuff, okay, in one workflow. And then here, I just use the upscaler workflow, right? And then finally, the caption workflow. Wait. Should have been. Then I'd use the one I just closed, which is essentially this. Because you can have it all in one, right? But when you do just the top part over and over and over, you have a bunch of images. And some of them are going to be bad. So you're going to cut them out. And then when you come to do the upscaling part, it's not that some of them will be bad. I'll show you. Watch this. So when you come to the point of you've done the upscaling, right? So let's just have a look. We go into the output, and then we go into the folder. Then we go to like 4 upscale, I think. Yeah, ups, right? CCs. If I take a look at all the images in this folder, I might have already done this. Okay. So I can't just slap all of these in one train. And you're like, well, why not? And I'm like, well, because some of them don't fit. And you say, well, what does that mean? Well, I'll give you an example. Like, there's one right there. Actually, that's all right. There's another one here. The color palette is so extremely different from the rest of the model set. It's got so much silhouette. There's one possible pairing I can see here. You can't see the right. So there's that one, and the one I thought it was similar to was this one. But the problem with this one is it's very dark, right? And there are other examples in here that are similar. Like, to be honest, I already curated this set. To save the number of upscales I was doing. So let's take a look at the next one. The last one. That's not big enough. It's a little one. Little boy. The little one. Maybe V5 remix. It's not there. Hard to find stuff. And I've got like a labyrinth I'm exploring here with you guys. Okay. Let's just abandon ship on that tab. Where is it? Is it that one? Yeah, let's get rid of it. Okay. Make this small. It's too big. Right. So again, comparing all of the different versions, I've only done up to CyberSociety v3, so I'm going to have to do a whole bunch more comparisons with version 4 onwards, right? That's like a big part of the process. You know, you can't just be like, I'm just going to throw it out and be done with it, because like I said, it's like, I don't know, constant development, right? So the new versions are going to come up on here. But I got to test them and I got to train them. So obviously, like V66 isn't going to be up anytime soon. Probably it'll be like tomorrow, maybe the next day. But V55 is ready to go up, and I think V6 is already up. But there is no 44 and there is no 5. I think, if I remember right. Yeah, V44 was too big, and I didn't bother training V5. Because I'm moving straight onto V6. I didn't see the point of wasting the buzz. And just to give a reminder of what the V6 dataset looked like, this would be the V6 dataset here. So it's this stuff. And like I said, that's the culmination of all of the stuff we've talked about on this stream tonight. So, you know, if I go back to V1, we started off with my original collection from 2 years ago, and then we've just basically developed it with a bunch of other styles that I already trained through the process I was talking about. It's really like putting it all together into one aesthetic, which is kind of crazy, I know, but I love this side of style. This kind of stuff. It's like an abstract surrealism, but with like a neo-futurism. I don't know. It's cool. I love the look. And like I said, I'll be happy to release the model to you guys soon. Let me just have a look at this. How are we doing? Have we got a V2 yet? Oh, takes so long. Wait, what? The images just changed. Save them. It's because it's Epoch 2. What? Epoch 2 hype. Give me that. I need that. I can't actually wait 24 hours to test this thing, guys. It's too long. That's why I get the fast version. Just like... Where are we? In the right comfy. I've got so many comfies. It's unreal. I'm running it on a new SSD though, which is nice. I was kind of running out of space for a while, but I definitely recommend buying yourself the 1 terabyte SSD and just cut and paste your portable install directly onto it and stop worrying about, my God, I was always running out of space. It was a nightmare. Hang on a minute. So I've opened it up, but where's the Lora? It's in the downloads folder. What? It's not downloaded yet. What the hell? Okay, so Civit's on the go slow tonight, boys. It is what it is. What can we do? So yeah, when that finishes downloading, I'll take a look at that, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything I haven't explained. Obviously, once you decide on your epoch, just want to keep the one that you want to use and archive the rest. That's what I do. Then go to publish. So let's see, have we got any good stuff in here? Yeah, that's pretty cool. So the stack tester workflow is what I use to compare the models against each other. So I'll just load each of the models in and then piece it together in much the same way that you saw when I was doing the comparison stack. So can we give up one of them for that? Give up one of these? Maybe we'll give up. Maybe we'll give up this one. Yeah. Clear that, and I'll give you a taste of what that looks like. Compare lines. Look at all these. There's so many of them. So I got to find like a recent one. It's probably a V50. CyberSociety 55. That's probably the most recent one. Ah. It's not loading. Embarrassment. Okay, so I got to get it manually. So just in case you didn't know where they are in user folder, default, workflows, and you'll find them right there. So I wonder, is it overwritten my beautiful? No, it hasn't. Wait a minute. This is just the same. This is just the same stack one from before. We want stack tester. 6 stack tester, probably. Yeah, there we go. So the difference being is, let's come out and explain this one a little bit better, yeah? Right. So basically, what we've got is we've got a different LoRa being loaded for each of these areas. So 6 LoRas being loaded at once. And then they all get put into grids. So they're compared and labeled. And they get stacked up on top of each other, and then you end up with a nice little comparison chart, and obviously just queuing up like 50 of them with a prompt randomizer and potentially with LoRa stacking if you want to do mutation work. And then you end up with, a solid prompt based on the data set. So it's accurate testing, because, if you're going to prompt the stuff it was supposed to learn, it should look like what it was being trained, right? That's what you're trying to prove. And so the results of these is one of the things that I've been showing you guys. Let's go to the output folder again. Stack tester. There we go. So if I was to just, these are on date modified, right? You'd think it'd be this one. Hardly anything in there though. But yeah, as you can see, it's running the same prompt through all the different LoRas that I've done to show the difference. So this is what it would have made with each different version. Okay. So you can see the difference with the full trained versions and the fast trained versions. You can see some of the fast trained versions are really starting to lean heavily on Marvel stuff. See? So this is not what was trained. And that's why I say it's like an 8-way fight to see which one was best. And ultimately, this one is the best. No, I can't say the same thing for that. I'd have to say it was that one for that. Fast train. But again, it bears out in the averages, right? So the more testing you do, the more accurate your conclusion, as long as you do keep it all safe. So you can only change one thing, right? One thing I'm changing is the prompt. Everything else is the same. And yeah, you could argue about margin of error and variables beyond my control, but that's for the birds, really. So with this, you get the reliable aspect of training the style. You can even see it. Look in the skulls. That's Midjourney V3 noise. That's what I was trying to train. So like when it's making stuff, it's not making these weird grid patterns. It's making that synth art stuff. Because I love that synth art stuff, right? Anyway. And then with the abstract stuff, we're getting some craziness coming out of it. And this noise is perfect for the flux enhancer. Okay. When you hit it with the flux enhancer, it'll get super smooth, super sharp. You get crazy details out of it. So these things, look at this crazy stuff. It's so cool. Now, I can't say that I prompted for this because it's all randomizers, but what I'm trying to do is test the range of the model. And it's, like I said, if your captions could do with some improvement, this is how I test it. Because like I said, I don't even know where the car came from. Where did the car come from? How is there a BMW here now? Super cool though. Like this up here is that mid-journey noise. Early version 2, version 3 mid-journey noise. Stuff's going on up there. Interestingly, it's contrasted with a bunch of regular clouds, which is pretty cool. Like I said, the noise on the buildings. It's got that weird multicolor stuff. And the clothing. The way the clothing is folding. That's like the stuff that I was training on, right? Yeah. It's turned into some crazy sci-fi space isn't real meme. Space is technology. Alright, what else did we have in here? Go for... No, not that one. The Black Sun version 0 with P2. Same sort of thing going on though. I always preferred Diffusion version 0. Like the rest of them have good qualities to them. Don't get me wrong. They make a great aesthetic, some of these, right? But it's not what I was looking for. So even though it's like able to do, because obviously if you looked at the prompt, you'd be like, well, how did it make that? It should have made something more like this. And it's because I've hijacked the tokens to make this style, right? Or thereabouts. So that's all the CyberSociety stuff. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we've missed. Let's have a look here. Society V6 cap. So this would be the captioning. That's where all of my captions go. Yeah. So we've already looked at these images here. It's these ones. That's the ones that we used to train V6. Have we got that download yet? That'd be nice. What are you doing, computer? There we go. And we're going to put it in the Lora folder. And then we're going to refresh the page. You see what we got here. So yeah, this was how I compared the different versions. So, you know, I can set that up for you right now. Why not? So, we've got all these different CyberSocieties, right? So, start off with 0, 0. And then do 1, 1. CyberSociety. Jesus. It's in here somewhere. 1. Go. I guess I put 2 down here. Wish I could just hold it and have it scroll up. 22. And then, what's this? 22, 33. Put a 33. It's up here. 33. Okay. And then I guess I could put 40 something. 44. 33. I think there is no 44. Yeah. There's only 4, which is a little bit of a bad thing for the science aspect. It's like, it's got to be the same. It's got to be the same. I don't think I've got a 44. So I have to use 4, which is going to stick out. It'll stick out, but here's what it is. I've got to put something there, right? 44. We didn't pick a winner for 55 yet, but I think I was going with 7, so I'm going to go with 7. And that's that. In fact, yeah. In fact, what we'll do is I'll put 44 up here. Or sorry, 55. So skip 55.7 up there. And then we can put whatever the latest V6 is here. And now that should be V66, but it's early trained epoch. It's not finished. It's still training. Where's the thing? Has it not got it? I gotta refresh the page. Okay. Well, we keep moving. Are we back? We're back. So we got to put in our V66 E2, which is new. Chuck that one in there as well. V66. We should be able to just go, and it'll be E2. There it is. Come back to that in a minute. Right. So when I'm doing this split thing, obviously I had 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 5, 6. So I'd hook them up accordingly. So obviously this one is going here. So what we've got actually is this kind of hooked up silly. Or I've just put them in silly. Whoa. So let's do the labels. So let's see, 0, 0. So the first one is 0, 0. This one is going to be 1, 1. It's not woman, but I'll worry about that in a minute. So put that there, like that. And then this one is 1, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 3. And so I want to go from the output into the in there, and then from the output there. I think that worked. And then this one is going to be 55 and 66. So let's see, 50, 55 and 66. I'll just get rid of the woman. Like that. No, get rid of those. And it's like, if I... Not fast either. So, okay. But this is Epoch 2 though. It's not actually finished. I'll say E2. Okay. And then obviously, we'll have to check out what the prompt is doing. So, string paint. 6. Is it 6? Well, that's interesting, actually, because we're loading all of them, aren't we? We're loading all of them at once. So, really, what I should do is I should test every single one. What I'll do is I'll start it with it on 0. And then I'll have it do V6. Like that. And then we'll see what happens. Now, I need to take a quick minute to stretch my legs, if you know what I'm saying, but I'll be right back. And I'm back. Thanks for waiting, guys. Much better after that. Right, so where are we at? Let's have a look. All right, so it's off to a flying start, generating a bunch of images for us from various different models. As you would imagine, because we're using the V00 captions, the V0 is going to be most likely the best, the best looking thing out of all of them. Because obviously it was trained on these captions, so it's going to give good image. Be interesting to see what the children give, because they're basically descendants. They're descendant models. So it'll be interesting to see what they do. Submersty. Oh. Oh, blimey. Okay, that one. That one's pretty cool. Is that 66? Yeah, it is. That's 66. Only Epoch 2. Looks good. So, yeah, all these different models are giving us different aesthetics due to the way they were trained and due to what the captions that we're prompting them with. But the idea is to compare them. They're all being given the same prompt. And then because they all have a slightly different bias and we're trained on different images, they'll all give different output. So the last one is going to get done. And then come on. The anticipation. So then this is going to do the same thing. It's going to chuck all of these different ones together, and they should be labeled correctly as long as I didn't mess up the wiring just now. Oh, look at that. That was pretty interesting. And then you end up with this. And then obviously by queuing up many of these, we can see what the best model would be for the prompt that we're working on, and then maybe I'd load that one. Okay, in a stack, for example. Say I wanted to get this kind of influence. Well, I'm going to use V66 Epoch 2, even though that's not finished yet. But yeah, I think you understand my point. Like I said, V11's actually looking pretty sweet right now. I'm loving the noise I've hit up here. It's all horribly nice. Because the thing is, when you chuck this through an upscaler, it's all going to sharpen up nicely. Oh, I think it started making the... That's a V66 caption, that is. Look at that. I love the little space station in the background. It's just, in front of the moon. And then there's some clouds. It's such a cool vibe. I think it must be like looking out of the hole and he's in somewhere. I'm guessing like this is a porthole. Don't know. Is it going to make more like that? Is. There we go. So V0 ended up being like super basic. That's so interesting. So this is getting the V6 to run V0. V6 caption with V0 model. Interesting. Okay, so while it's doing that, let's just get back on track. So, don't need to see this. We've looked at that. That. Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered the main section for the stream. So thank you to everybody who's, come along and checked out the explanation. I hope that gives a bit more insight into what the hell's going on. Because like I said, I kind of just went into full-on training mode to get this one done. And all of these models and all of the recent models, which I've done, they will all be going towards this training course, which is basically aimed at helping artists really harness the power of these tools so they can make their own datasets privately, make their own tools privately, and just having fun with the new tools, basically, Everybody's got image generation now, but do you have something that you want to make? Do you know how to describe it? And then do you know how to use the tools? And so I help with that last part. Like I said, a lot of people over on the Discord are having a lot of fun sharing all their stuff. I enjoy seeing it. All right, where are we? Still training. How are we doing on this side here? Mostly making weirdness. That's clean. Oh my goodness, what the heck? You can see which ones were the craziest models. V0, V1. Again, V1 is a brilliant model. V11 does need upscaling though, because it's like I wanted to produce a noisy image for upscaling. That was one of the tests. Thanks, Scruffy. Cheers for coming along. Okay. Awesome. Good to see Scruffy. Okay. So there we have it. There's the compare. Get rid of this down here so we can make it a bit bigger. Get this out of the way. Right. So there it is. So ultimately, V66 is the better model, I reckon. But it still isn't finished training yet, so I don't know how good it is going to be. We'll find out. See, it's never over. That's something I've learned about all this. It's never over. You're constantly improving your work, constant improvement. It's never over. You're always going to make a better model. I actually think V11 looks way better. Like this is it's outstanding compared to the rest. Are very cartoonish by comparison. It might just be the prompt though. You know, might just be the prompt. And that's why you have to do a whole bunch of them, and then the truth will come out in the average. You'll see it and go, it's definitely E7, E8, whatever it is. Okay. So let's come and have a look at something else. So if I just dump this, clear it, yep. Look, it's got the old UI. Been that long since I've bothered to refresh the page. It's not even the same comfy anymore. All right. Now what I want is I want the stream workflow. It's in here somewhere. I'm going to need like a search tool for this thing. View lines. There he is. All right. And then I'm going to take a look over at the Discord like I always do. What have we got? Lora sharing. We have a bunch of them. A whole bunch of them. I'm going to pick one that I like the look of. That one's cool. Fisheye model. Okay, what is it? Lora, Flux D. Cool. How do you trigger it, my man? Trigger words like circular, tunnel-like, curved walls, fisheye perspective, zoomed in. Okay. All right, I'll go with fisheye perspective. Let's see if that works. Fisheye perspective. Go to my review workflow. Where is it? Is this it? This should be it. Is this it? This should be it. Why has it got a whole bunch of stuff in it? This doesn't look like the right one. Right. Must be. That must be it. It's weird that I can't see the name of the workflow anymore. Is that it? Yeah, there it is. Okay, cool. So I'll put it in as a no, not a suffix. Put it in as a prefix with like, I don't know, black sun, and then I'll mute that. Don't want that. Fisheye perspective, something in the black sun, and then I want to put the Lora into my Loras folder, obviously. So let's take a look at some of these real quick. So people submit, they can submit links to their Loras, and if we've got time at the end of the live stream, we can have a little look at them. So this one looks like it's going to be a fisheye Lora. So if I go into Flux, people's add this to my collection and then refresh. We're done looking at the comparisons now. Have we got rid of them? No, there they are. Yeah, that was fun. Get rid of that. So this is going to be from Debatista Cliff. Debatista Cliff 519. Debatista. I don't know why I have fun reading that every time. So fisheye, there it is. And we want to turn all this off. Off. And then just go with reflex. And we're looking at, what's it called? Life in the round. Life in the round. There it is. Turn that on. Oh, cool. That looks good. So fisheye perspective, and then one of my black sun prompts should be good because we're not. Yeah, should be good. And text to image. Okay. Oh no. What happened? Lora name 3 doesn't exist. All right, hang on. Let me clean this up. There. Oh, that's weird. Some blocks. What's going on here? None of the Lora blocks have loaded. Did I download the wrong file? Right. 223 meg safe tensor. How strange. That's weird. Okay, well, I guess we'll move on to the next one. How weird. Got another one from Cobalt, which is a fantasy D&D illustration style. Fan style. Yeah, that was strange. And then there's another one. Le Frostbane, which hopefully works a bit better. We've got lots of stuff there. Can try that. That's good. Have a look at this one quickly. Did not let me download it. What's going on? Unverified. Feels like I'm lagging. Verified 6 hours ago. I think there's something going on with Civitai, you know. Because it just gave me a weird download. And stuff is kind of like lagging out. I think Civit's having a bit of trouble, boys. Alright. Well, in that case, we'll see. Is there anything already in the list which I would... Yeah, I would like to look at this one. I never looked at this one. So this is from one of our community members. He's actually... I worked with him in the past. Cool guy. Let me see if I can find his Lora. And I don't want to embarrass myself. See if I can remember how to use it. That's the trick, you see. So let me just go for a search here. Oh, do we want to do that? No, do that. Simon Stalenhagen, whatever it was. Caponero and Flux Caponero. Don't seem to find it. I wonder if it's in there. Did he add it as a version? I've got it. I'm not 100% what he triggers it with. My Simon Stella. That's the SD 2.1 version, see? Let's go to his thing. Back to my test. Had by Simon Stella, had by Simon Stella at the end as well. There you go, just make one. Make one. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I haven't even loaded the Lora yet. Interesting. Where are we? Where are we? Lora XL. Lora XL. Oh no. Did he not release the flux? He's a great model trainer, by the way. You should check out his work. He does great stuff. I don't seem to see any XL stuff here. I mean, flux. Do I have to pick them both? Nothing. It must have been a private release just to our community, I guess. Okay, it's let me take that fancy D&D style now. It's kind of strange that I don't have the right tags, guys. I don't know what I don't know what the tags that he wants is. I should probably like actually, you know, look at where he posted it. Yeah, that's definitely not it. That's all me. You see, that's me. Did I even load the Lora though? Yeah. Needs a bit more than that though, doesn't it? Alright. Do we download this? Download that. Download that. Okay, oh, we already downloaded that. I don't know why I'm doing that twice. Had it in my head. Download. Fantasy D&D style. Then back up here. Fantasy D&D style. D&D. D&D Darkest Fantasy. Is that what it was? No. D&D Illustration Style. That's not the same one. Refresh. It's like I already had one with a very similar name. D&D. There we go. Fantasy D&D illustration style. Okay. And then we will take font style. And then I'll use my S3 captions for this one. What's it? Font style. Yes. Get rid of that. And then use S3. Where is it? There it is. S3 captions. Just some random captions that tend to fit well with a lot of styles. Is it on? Yes, it is on. What are we gonna get? What we gonna get? Does it get stuck? Oh, there it goes. Cool. It's made photorealistic mini with a custom wheel thing. Wheel cover. Just remember, you're using my prompts. Oh, this is the kind of D&D that I can get into, man. This is great. That's what I'm talking about. Fan style A. Shit. I think I screwed up. Wait, what? Fan style. Comma space. Oh, that's cool. Robot's head with the light shining on its face. Go again. What do we got? What do we got? Cool. Finally, we got a knight with a big sword. It's going through his head. Hang on. Can I get something a bit more generic, like Cog Video Fantasy? There we go. This should look good. Maybe. What the heck? Ah, there we go. There we go. Got some cool fantasy stuff going on. Let's just put that onto instant, and then we can finish up the stream. All right. So, hopefully, I managed to explain what the craziness was with this 6th generation dataset evolution business. It's all using a combination of workflows, which you will find in the DJZ workflows. You can clone them directly into your Comfy installation, and they will be all the way down at the very bottom. There's currently 258 workflows in the pack right now. Yep, that's right. I didn't know, but it counts them, so that's what it says. 258, apparently. I don't know how you get there, but okay. I'll take it. There it is. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much for throwing your Loras down in the section there. Sorry we didn't have enough time to look at everybody's, but what we'll do is we will start earlier next time because I won't have such a crazy thing to be talking about. Not the stream, I just mean the segment where we start looking at your Loras. This is really nice. So I'm just going to let that run. Yeah, so like I said, the dataset course is going to come out soon. It'll be a multi-part course explaining how to get the most out of your models by doing things like what we've talked about today. So, for example, we talked about how to improve your captions, the effects of what that is, how to automate it, the effect of that, looking at the best way to really refine and curate and get the best model out of your work. That's what we've looked at today. Or I've explained a process by which you can do that and the methodology behind it, all of the different workflows that we use to test things. Okay. A lot of insight into how the tools are actually working and stuff. So that's pretty much everything. And like I said, next Sunday, what we'll do is we will spend extra time looking at your Loras. So make sure to submit them over in the Discord. We only had time to look at a couple of them tonight. And I'll be honest, I think that maybe there was a download issue because the first Lora we looked at was a bit broken. I think maybe it downloaded wrong. I don't know. But certainly it was playing up. It's probably just busy, guys. So Sunday, they're probably doing a live event themselves. They usually have a live stream on the weekends. I don't know what day it is. So there you have it. Watch out for the next release. Obviously, I'm still training V66. But hopefully this live stream has given you some insight on how you can improve your model. Even if you've already trained it, it's all about refining the data set and training it again and again and again and again. And eventually, you'll be happy with it. I know I certainly am now. I've gotten to my sixth generation, but I still want to go through and just like tweak the captions a little bit. Just take out a few words now. I think I'm nearly finished with this particular project, so that's good. Thank you everybody for joining, and I'll see you next time.